International faith-based show where we help entrepreneurs within the 5 C's: Christ, cannabis, cryptocurrency, cybersecurity, and CPAs. We help entrepreneurs grow their businesses by helping them connect them with investors, advisors, and partnerships. I am Crystal Wampler, the show host, and today my co-hosts are Alan Lau and Jacob Livingood. Welcome, boys. The CryptoCannVerse is booked through the beginning of, I should say actually, men, my apologies. The CryptoCannVerse is booked through the beginning of September, and actually now it's October. It's booked through October. But if you'd like to apply to be a guest or you would like access to our deal flow, please reach out to me at crystal@canethics.com. You can be ethical in business. Today's show is being live streamed across multiple platforms, including YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Our network comprises of business owners in Web3 launchpads, venture capital firms, family offices, blockchain hedge funds, high net worth CPAs, attorneys, investors, and angel investors. Before introducing our guest speaker, Alan, will you please present our Bible verse for today?
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining CryptoCannVerse. Whoa. Sorry. I don't know where that came from.
That's a rookie mistake.
Wow, that was like a 911 alarm just went off.
Police are here. Run. Hide your crypto. No.
I know we're live, but that was an alert for you guys. All right. Today's scripture comes from Hebrews 12:1-3. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorned its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. So faith, just continue to believe, continue to trust God's plan, and stay faithful through many different, I would say, ups and downs in life. And Jesus is always there to save you. He's the Almighty, as long as we continue to believe and trust and pray. I think pray is really, really important. I think this week, I've been reading a lot in the Bible and praying every night. And it's really all around, like, just staying faithful and knowing that you have to trust God, that everything will work out just fine for you. So this totally hit me by reading this verse. Just perseverance, a lot of perseverance.
Love that. Thank you, Alan. The CryptoCannVerse Show presents speaker Nate Cook, co-founder of and COO of BlockSafe Solutions LLC today, Friday, July 21st, 2023. As a registered architect in Texas, Nate has worked in commercial design for over a decade, providing innovative design solutions and transformative architectural projects for world-renowned clients. With a passion for pushing the boundaries of traditional architecture, he aims to deliver exceptional results, earning recognition for his creative vision and technical expertise. Nate's architectural journey took an unexpected turn when he discovered the world of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Recognizing the disruptive potential of this emerging field, he combined his architectural business acumen with an entrepreneurial spirit to create groundbreaking ventures. Nate has emerged as a successful crypto entrepreneur in the realm of cryptocurrencies. He is the founder of BlockSafe Solutions LLC, a launchpad and development company for businesses operating within the Web3 space. Nate's deep understanding of blockchain technology ensures his seamless integration of cutting-edge solutions and aesthetically pleasing designs. In addition to his crypto ventures, Nate is the managing partner of MPC Capital Investments and NC Management Solutions LLC, which aims to incubate projects and engage in venture capital opportunities. Leveraging his astute financial acumen and comprehensive management skills, Nate offers strategic leaderships and guidance to clients by providing innovative solutions. Welcome, Nate. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So warm welcome.
Wonderful. So let's start off by understanding how you got into architecture.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever talked to architects before, but it's always that telltale sign. We all started with Legos as a kid. It's the nature of being hands-on and being able to build something and bring your creations to life, I think was what really got me. But as growing up through as a kid and going through college and stuff, it's like it wasn't that I was bad at test taking. I just wasn't a big test taker. And, a lot of the stuff that we had to do through school and stuff was a lot less questionnaires and more, bringing stuff to life and actually showing the results. And that was really what sank in for me.
Who would have thought that Legos would lead to architectural? That is super cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure your experience of learning to communicate with clients and the design progress and process, budgeting, cost management has helped you tremendously in business today.
Yeah. It's a much deeper impact. I think that goes across because what you learn, through your educational process and then what you experience in the real world is very different from one another to some degree. And it really helps build on that compounding nature of, your business acumen and how you proceed with things. But it carries over into all aspects of life, and it really helped with the crypto side of things too. So
speaking of crypto, how did you get into crypto?
So when I was in college, so I entered college in 2009 and I graduated with my master's in 2014. Probably around 2012, 2011, I had stumbled across Bitcoin and, back when it was super early and, being a broke college student, it's like, I didn't pay much attention to it. I didn't have much money to put into it, but looking back on it, it's like, oh man, I wish I would have done that. But, I kind of dug into it a little, and I've always been on the forefront of technology and watching, tech shows and all this stuff about new upcoming products and stuff. And then, back in once I graduated college and moved to Dallas, where I'm at now, back in 2016, late 2016, right before the 2017 run up, I really started to kind of dig a lot deeper into it. And when I started with Andreas Antonopoulos, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen his Bitcoin series, he explained it so well. And when you look at where the financial markets and, the evolution of money, when I read that and just saw more and more of what the space entailed, it just clicked for me. And then from there I was sold, and, I haven't gone back.
And your mind was blown.
Yeah.
So what was the first cryptocurrency that you invested in?
Bitcoin, obviously. Yeah. Back when I got in, there were probably only 10 major coins, and then everything else was Verge and, just some of the minutiae stuff that doesn't exist now. I mean, I think as everybody can say, back in 2017, there was a massive run up and everything was the hot stuff. And then, the 2018 bear market was really what just tanked everything. So, and I learned my lessons like everybody else. And when I walked away from that, I still hold Bitcoin and Ethereum, and now I'm, big into Solana and some of these other major chains, but I play a lot less of the low caps than I used to. That's for sure.
That's interesting. Normally you hear people that are either invested in either Bitcoin or Ethereum. Why is there such a, divide between the two?
I think anybody that got into crypto this year, I don't know how to put it. They're really not kind of privy to the evolution of what happened before, because this year has been a really big narrative with the stuff that's happened on Bitcoin. I mean, it's completely just turned Bitcoin and the network upside down. But I think, the two networks were built to do something very, very differently than one another. And you need a use case for both of them, honestly. It's how we everybody thinks about money from one dimension. Truly, it needs to be able to, you need to be able to send something and transact. But in reality, the way people work is, it's 10 times deeper than that. And you need a use case for all of it. And I think as these new networks start to emerge, you start to see a lot of these big cap coins who are ranked on the top charts, and they've been around for a while. And there's, the whole stuff with Ripple and all that stuff. I mean, I know that there's haters and there's lovers, Maxis on it on all sides, but there's a use case for all of that stuff. And when you really dig into the minutia of it, you'll find that there's no right answer for everything. There's no one solid answer. Everything is needed. And I think that's kind of what really draws me to the ecosystem is there's so much potential going on so many different fronts. It's honestly like back when I got into it, it used to be you could cover 10 of the cryptos and you could follow every single one of them in depth. Now there's so much going on. You almost have to like pigeonhole yourself into a niche of the market because there's just, it adapts too quickly.
Can you give us a use case or just an example of why you like Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Yeah, Bitcoin is kind of always going to be the haven for me unless something just dynamically changes. But the decentralization aspect of that, I think most people, a lot of people hate on Bitcoin now because it's so slow and, it's only used to transact. You can't do smart contracts or anything really in the full sense of the word on it. But the decentralized nature of that system is what provides the security, and that is what creates the rock solid foundation. I'm not really a maxi in the sense of I think one chain is the right answer, but I am in the sense that Bitcoin was built to do exactly what it's doing and what it was intended to do. And the fact that it's had such rock solid experience on the security side, there's no one entity that can take it down. And that for me right there is above all else. Like I do think that Ethereum is much more versatile and it's probably the right solution in the long term, or at least the right, direction for the right idea. But Bitcoin itself right now is kind of the end all be all because of the security aspect nature of it. And you just can't get that on any other network.
Yeah, that's good to know. Clayton and I generally go back and forth between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I'm a big Ethereum holder. I've held Bitcoin also since like 2018 and Ethereum, but I was more into the Ethereum. And then when Clayton and I met, he gave me, all the back end about why I should invest in Bitcoin and all that stuff. And now I'm on Strike and, the Strike application where you can buy Bitcoin every like hour, and you can set it up for a certain amount, which is super cool. So tell us a little bit about BlockSafe and the services that they offer.
Yeah. So BlockSafe was we had this idea where, we had spun off our own project, NFT project, like a lot of other people. And that was kind of dipping our toes into kind of the management side of things and, giving back to the community and stuff. And we quickly realized that, as successful as I think that was and as good of experience as it was to kind of build something and be a part of something that gives back to the community, NFT projects, in a sense, they're not true businesses. It's very difficult to make a business around that. One, because there's the aspect of regulation above your head. You just don't know where that's going. But two, and I'm going to sound like a hater for a second, but NFTs, I think a lot of people are misconstrued on what an NFT does. And my background, yes, I got into the coins and stuff, but BlockSafe really kind of stemmed from the NFT project that we started, and we realized that we needed a true business model. And the problem with the NFT side of things and why we went into the business model of BlockSafe and why that originated was because a lot of people in this space look at NFT projects as being an investment. And it's not really an investment. Sure, there's that aspect of there, but in reality, it's like you're buying a product. You're not buying ownership in a company. And there's always this need. It's like, even if you deliver, there's always, oh, what's the next thing? What's the next thing you're going to provide to me? And we realized that wasn't the answer to what we were trying to do long-term. So we spun off and created BlockSafe because we realized a lot of the contacts within the space, a lot of the development we were getting asked to do, and a lot of the expertise on the advising side of things that we came out with, we realized we needed to form a true company around this, one that was insured, and not in the sense that insurance wise, but in the sense that it gave people the peace of mind that you're working with a true entity and not just somebody over the internet. Right. And that was what we were already doing one and the same thing, the development and the advising and all that. And we just were like, why not just create a company around it? And so we did that. And now we spun it off, and now we've kind of branched out. We do development, front end, back end, smart contract. Doesn't matter. We can do it. And if we can't do it, we'll find somebody in our network that can. We have a very deep network of developers. We've kind of expanded into being able to help provide legal services, through our contacts. We've expanded to create advisory services. And now we're kind of spooling up an extension arm of not necessarily BlockSafe itself, but I've got a separate company, which we can go into in a little bit, but we're really doing more of the launchpad and more of, the really kind of getting businesses, not just under one development front, but somebody that needs something kind of long-term. And because, I mean, let's be honest, most businesses that enter the space they enter, and yes, it's just like advising, just like tax service, right? It's like you come out and you need somebody to help you through this stuff, but just because you get help for, a week on end doesn't mean you have all the answers. You need longevity. And that's kind of what we aim to provide.
That's awesome. So you were mentioning a little bit about, offering legal services and things like that. Can you go ahead and go into what is NPC Capital and NC Management?
Yeah. So we kind of realized that BlockSafe itself wasn't the sole answer. BlockSafe is more we looked at it as more of our development arm. But we realized that, we needed to go into something more of long-term positions. Like I said, most of these companies or partners that approach us need more than just development services. And some of them might not even need development services. They need legal advice. They need, CTOs and CFOs and CEOs, people that have been around in this space and know what to look for. Because even what we found is that, traditional B2B owners really, as they enter the space, it moves faster and it moves at a much more diverse, intricacy than traditional business. And navigating these waters and trying to sell products or sell services to investors or whoever it is, it operates a very, very different method. And so what works in traditional business within, fiat doesn't work in crypto necessarily. And so having those people on board, whether it's just advising or whether it's actual CEOs of the companies and stuff, like we've got people in places that can help with that stuff. And when I say the legal arm, obviously we don't put the legal arm under BlockSafe or anything like that, but we have a very deep network of people within the space that have the expertise, that know what to look for. And if we can't do it ourselves, we'll put you in touch with somebody who can. Because I mean, most projects that looking to build, it goes beyond just one aspect of one division. You really need the whole front, because it doesn't matter how successful you're running a company, if you're not adhering to the ever-changing daily, legal system of framework that surrounds this space. I mean, you don't know, you could run a successful company and be dead in the water in a year from now as they come out with new rulings. And those are the type of things that just move so much faster. You have to have more people and more expertise in place. And that's really what we aim to try and do.
I love that you are providing a comprehensive team, an avenue for your companies to find investors, and then advisors as well. That's very, very clever. I like the comprehensive part.
Crystal, on the use case, since you're doing consulting for some of these blockchain crypto companies. Yesterday, I was on a call with a import and export Canadian company that import and exports different commodities. And he was approached by one of his close in his network, who was part of Ripple, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So they contacted him because they wanted to demonstrate and create a use case for the import and export industry to utilize Ripple as a framework to transact directly to the buyer and the seller, right? So they're in talks in trying to create a use case to see how that would impact the import and export, because they move a lot of money when it comes to export, especially taking on government contracts. So I want to bring that up is because it sounds like that's very similar on what you do, is to connect corporations, whether it's talking to CEOs, CFOs, or COOs, to say, hey, I believe in technology, but it's my responsibility to educate companies and corporations about it, right?
Yeah,
because they don't get the proper education, they don't have people like you and your team, then no one's going to learn. The only way we're going to learn is that at least we're marketing to these companies, and we have to create a use case and demonstrate that, hey, this technology works. And once we have a use case, and it starts going to other corporations. So I just want to bring that up because I totally see that's something that we're going to see that transformation pretty soon.
Yeah, no, you're 100%. I mean, I think, a big thing about the space is you always hear the terms, oh, we're still early. We are. And when you really boil down to it, it's like, well, now we got BlackRock and Fidelity and all these other companies, like these massive conglomerate arms of investment side in the space. And so you really ask yourself, are we still early? And the answer to my question is always boils down to absolutely. You can go, like, you always hear the thing as the market runs up, you always hear around the Thanksgiving dinner table, like, where, your uncle asked you to invest in something. How's my investment doing? Those kind of things. But the reality is most people look at these things and they still think that, crypto is criminals. And the same argument can be made across any sort of financial, arms of any government you do, whether you're trading beans or whether you're trading, fiat currency, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be bad actors in that space that try and game that system. But I think, we as builders and we as company owners within the space have to form that framework. We have to drive that education. Otherwise, I mean, you're just not going to see any advancements. And most of these traditional companies, they hear crypto, but they don't truly understand what it is or how it can be adopted, right? You always hear the bad actor use cases, but there's far more advances in this space and for the technology to be integrated in traditional businesses if given the right opportunities. And that's what I mean, both as a business owner and as somebody who believes in this technology. That's my sole purpose, is really to try and educate people. And it's a challenge. It's an everyday thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I used to be a financial advisor, and I actually attended the NASDAQ continuing education courses for financial advisors, and they're just rolling out these courses to advisors to start learning about the blockchain technology. So I can totally see that sooner or later, like, those JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, the Wells Fargo advisors. I mean, they're all going to be, advisors going to be learning through these continuing education courses, because ultimately the clients is really going to come in and ask for these type of services or advice or education. So they're just starting to roll that down. So you bring up a good point of just the adoption period we're in right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have one more question, and then we'll give the floor back to Alan and Jacob and Keith and Clayton, whoever else has a question. But, I'm hearing a lot. Actually, I'm not hearing a lot. I've heard a little bit about this group, Affinity Group. What is the Affinity Group, and why was it created, and how do you get an invite to it?
Yeah, so I'm a member of Affinity. Clayton here is a member of Affinity. And, I think the best way to put it in terms that most people can understand is like, it's not a monetary investment. Like it requires a buy-in, but that's really more so to just ensure that you're getting the right people, because there is a vetting process. It's really a network of, and you hear this term a lot in NFTs and stuff, but it's providing a conglomerate of people who want to build something, right? And the term build is used very loosely, but in reality, these are people in the space who truly believe in the technology, who have influence, who are actually driving adoption. And when you put people in a system like that, in a like-minded, environment, it's really more in a sense, an incubator, if you will. Like, we bounce ideas and we bounce products and we bounce, opportunities off one another. And if I can't tell you like how much it has provided me and my business, both from a personal and professional, forefront, just the amount of opportunities that it's given me. I have learned things that I honestly didn't even know existed in this space. And I've also, helped drive other people and provided opportunities in business for them. And it's really more of a collective group of like-minded people who really believe in the adoption. And when you try and get into collectives, it's about finding the right fit, because a lot of people can say, hey, I'm in a group, we have a lot of people that think the same, but you need to find people who mesh well with what your vision is, and who are not, for lack of a better term, leeching off opportunities that arise out of you. Because the only reason it's a collective is kind of like a family, right? In a sense, it's like, people only benefit if you're providing the same benefit across the board. If one person is really the parasite of the group, just taking on all the opportunities that other people throw back, but never giving anything back, you can't succeed that way. And affinity is really in my mind, I've seen a lot of collective groups. I've been a part of a lot of them, and it is few and far above all of the others because of the people and the influence. I mean, these are guys that have millions of followers on Twitter, not because they just put out crap. They're actually pushing the ball and pushing the education in the forefront. They're on panels day in and day out. I mean, I honestly don't know how they do it, because they've also got 10 businesses on the side or more that they're actively running. I mean, you're talking about workhorses. These guys, they don't sleep. They eat, breathe, and live crypto. And that is the people you want to surround yourself with.
I love that. I want to chime in here and add a couple of statements followed by a question. And it's great to connect with you, Nate. First statement, I was a Lego kid as well, and I love your analogy of how that led you to architecture, because I think it's like a building block. That's what led me to sort of following down the rabbit hole of mechanical engineering and getting into building cars, was the same sort of thing, and I see how that led to architecture, which is awesome. My next statement being around, it's not that it's versus, but Bitcoin versus ETH, they have totally different use cases, whereas Bitcoin's sort of a store of value, right? And
Exactly.
ETH is a layer one that allows developers or GameFi engineers or financial service providers to split and fork that chain and build something of their own value on that sort of foundational layer. So, to each their own, right? But, you can dabble in each thing, or you could niche down into one specific thing. I think that's a great insight. And my question for you is, so as far as BlockSafe and NPC Ventures, what is your golden goose, or what your ideal client project? Where in development is the ideal client? Like, what does that look like? And if you could just go into that a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's that's actually very interesting you asked that question, because my background in architecture and then in the crypto side of things in my business is what we do. It's very different. With architecture, it's so, and yourself as an engineer, you need details, right? The details are what drive everything. And I think a lot of the problem with the stuff that we do in crypto, my ideal client would be somebody that comes to us with a solid vision. The hardest part, the joy, let me backtrack, the joy of doing what we do within BlockSafe and NPC and everything we do within the crypto space, there's never a dull moment. Everybody's got a different project. It is trying to do something completely different across the board with what their business plan is or their model. But that also it's a double-edged sword, right? Because a lot of people come to us with, these ideas, like I want to do this, this, and this, but they're not fleshed out enough. And then we can do two sides. We can either say, hey, we'll get you in touch with the right people who can guide you there, or we can work it out with you. The problem is that because the space changes so fast, even as we start to work out the minutia of the details, it could take 3 weeks to do something, and then 3 weeks later, the market's completely changed, and that narrative of what they're trying to do has changed. So to answer your question, I think the most ideal client would be somebody that comes to us with the game plan, that knows exactly what they want to do, so that we can properly execute it and we can drive that vision and get there. The hardest part right now, though, is that, because all the projects are different and because we're seeing so much demand across the board with these visions, it's a little bit of a lack of education in some aspects, or a lack of vision on where they want to go and how to get there. And that is what makes it very, very difficult, I would say. I don't want to sound like I don't enjoy what we do. I love what we do. But there's an aspect of it. It's like, it makes our job a lot harder when people come to us with ideas and not plans. If that makes sense, because I'm in architecture, I'm used to having like, here's the vision, and we kind of know what we want. Here's our programmatic requirements. Here's the square footage and all that stuff. And we can design around that. But when we're not given the proper framework, it makes it very, very difficult, especially in a space that evolves so fast like this one does.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have two follow-up questions following that. So the first one that sort of wanes off of what you just said is where do you view, like, is there a specific subsect of types of projects, like as far as like where in the crypto space they fall that you're looking at, like particularly GameFi slash a open source decentralized DEX slash a metaverse project? Is that something that would be in your wheelhouse to advise and work with, or are you more geared towards the financial service sector outside of the blockchain gaming industry? And then the second part of the question that actually has nothing to do with that, totally different question. You said that BlockSafe the business model was built around and following the NFT project that was initially launched. Can you go into a little bit about that NFT project, what the white paper and vision was behind that led to the formation of why we need to build a business model around it?
Yeah, of course. So I guess to start on the first portion, no, there's not really a niche of the market I would say that we probably target or we really look to get into. We do kind of address, obviously, just like everybody, we have a very deep, I would say, business acumen amongst my partners and stuff. Like some of these guys work in the military, so they're very high on the security aspect side of things. They do, very deep website testing, stuff like I don't want to go too far into it because that's a whole technical side. Like I am not a developer by any means. But I understand a little bit of the framework on how that stuff operates. I'm more of, I'm CEO, I'm more of the operational side of the business. But I think that we have really intelligent people that work with us and have been around in the space quite a bit. And we've got a very deep network of contacts that, like I said, if we can't have somebody in our house do it, we've got a contact that knows how to get it done, or has worked in it before. And I think that's a huge aspect, but the advantage of that is it doesn't mean that we have to be pigeonholed into doing, solely just metaverse projects or, DeFi or whatever it is. I think the aspect is we have an opportunity to do a lot of things across the board, both good and bad. Now we do we assess each project to say, is this the right fit for us and for the clients? And, if not, we don't take on the business. We'll put you in touch with somebody who will, because the end goal is to make sure that you as a client get your needs met and can get to where you're going. But it may not be that we're the right answer, but we can do it. We have done it. I think a lot of portion of where we're doing a few trading platforms and, bots and stuff like that right now. We've done some, we work with some projects in the film industry. So we get a lot of aspects from the creation side of things, and now the AI stuff has really branched out, and it's just, it has just lit a fire under every developer here. And it's phenomenal. The tools each and every day, it's actually moving faster than the crypto space itself, which is, I honestly didn't think anything could, but it's a big thing. Going back to, your second portion, I think it's hard for me to say, because I think that a lot of what we do drives the adoption aspect of it. And I think, with the NPC side of things, is we really set out to do more than one thing. But can you ask me your question again, so that way I make sure I'm answering it 100%? I kind of go off on these tangents sometimes. I just talk and you're muted, I think.
Hear me now?
Yeah,
all right, cool.
Go for it.
All right, so you mentioned that that BlockSafe was formed into like a business structure post having launched an NFT project, and then you realize, okay, the NFT project in and of itself isn't going to be sufficient, and we need to add a model and put into place, the executive level people that are going to run this as a business. So the question was like, what was the initial white paper of that like NFT project? Like, what did that look like? And like maybe when that was launched and how that all went.
Yeah. So, ours is a little different, I think, because like I said, as BlockSafe, we set out to really provide, advice to people and, expertise within the space. And we realized we were doing a development arm of a lot of what we were already doing. Now, ours was different because the project at the time, this was back when NFTs had really kind of soared off, and our project was kind of the run up back in, 2021, November of 2021, maybe, back when NFTs really were kind of the new hotness, right? It was the 2017 crypto coin run up. There was a previous project that stemmed from, and I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but it was a project that I guess, was a builder's market. And these guys kind of went out and created a project, and they were going to create like a financial arm. To be honest, it was so long ago, I don't even remember exactly what they're doing, but it was rug. They raised a lot of money. They took they bought the treasury, and it was really a DAO in a sense, but it wasn't really structured like a DAO should be. And I say that, and I'll elaborate on that in a second, but what they really did is they raised millions of dollars. They went out and bought all these like super hyped NFTs at like 50 and 60 ETH floors at the time. And they burned through the treasury. And of course that was right at the tip top of the market. And then, the next month it just completely just obliterated, and they didn't have any funds to develop really. I mean, they were left with like 20 grand in the treasury, raising, $500,000 or $1 million plus, something like that. And it was just, I was one of the community members of that project at the time that voiced a lot of concerns around, this is not a proper DAO. A proper DAO votes on stuff. I woke up the next morning, they had voted to sell off all the assets and then just go out and buy a bunch of my pet hooligans or Neo Tokyo citizens or whatever it was. And it's like, that was not the way to run a DAO, because the whole purpose of the DAO is it's a governance, right? I mean, you're as a whole, you're voting. And there was a massive call for a change in, I guess, the project ownership. And so they voted a couple of us community members who had clearly demonstrated the education, the expertise to run the project. Part of the requirement was to docs, but we ended up getting voted in and taking over the project. Now, we ended up turning it up. There wasn't enough funds in the wallet or in the treasury to produce a product necessarily, but we came out and we were like, listen, the one thing we do in the space is we know how to make money. We know what areas of the market to invest in. We know how long to hold things. So we created an alpha group. And it wasn't your traditional alpha group. We didn't just post every call under the sun and track all of our, investment stuff. We really helped advise people and put them into the right projects, the right time, help them understand when to take profits and when not to. We weren't producing financial advice by any means. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do trading calls and stuff where we just put it out there, because in my mind, you're essentially doing the work for people, but you're not teaching them how to educate within this space and operate. So it really was an alpha group in a sense, and we took it over. Now it helped me because, and this is I'll bring it back to BlockSafe here in a second, in that we started a project that was a soft rug in a sense. We took it over. We started with practically no funds. We created something that ended up being worth a decent amount. I wish it would have done better, but we kind of got caught on the back end of the market as it was, going through the bear. But it taught us a lot of responsibilities as far as what to look for in the space, the right people to engage with, to execute things. And it set us up for the success, right? You had to go through the mud to get to the rainbow at the end of the tunnel. And I think what came out of that was BlockSafe, is we at that point had a contacts, which, anybody can tell you with any time if you're building a business, it's not so much the decisions you make that get you there. It's the people, right? Having the right contacts in the space, networking is so vitally important to your success that a lot of people don't put enough emphasis on it. And that set us up. And what stemmed from that was BlockSafe. Now, we created BlockSafe with $0. There was no buy-in from any investor here, any partner, and we created that. And now I think we just ran the numbers and we're valued at like $4.5 million, and that's within less than a year. So we're doing the right things, and that helped us get to the right direction of where we want to go. And that's a meteoric rise. And, it's something that, going back to our opening comments, it's like God has blessed me in so many ways that, when you really think it's like all your bad luck or shit that adds up during the day, it's like you turn back and it's like it could have been so much worse. There's so many things that have worked out just by making the right decisions and doing the things right. Because we could have, like a lot of projects in the crypto space, we could have cut a lot of corners. We chose not to do that for various reasons, and it pays off in the long run. It's a longer build, but it pays off. And, I mean, our NFT project right now, we're still around, but we don't pay too much attention to it. It's hard to devote a lot of your time when there's no funds and no, get a payback to you as an investor or as a project owner community. So we're still around. It's just BlockSafe has taken up a lot more of our time than we probably anticipated early on, but yeah, it was a good learning experience.
Yeah, I have a question, Nate. Thanks for coming on. I'm a president of a financial advisory firm. Why do you think that so many financial advisors are skeptical or not really interested in the crypto industry? And how do we onboard more advisors into this industry?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think my personal opinion on it is there's just there's not enough education in space properly, but two, a lot of it is what you're seeing is crypto is so easy for the average person to just create something and raise a bunch of funds. But I mean, it's just like owning any business or any investment. There's a responsibility aspect to it and a security aspect. When I say security, I mean not just from a financial point of view, but you need to like make the right decisions with the business that you own for the benefit of the business and the benefit of your clients. And a lot of people within the space that we currently deal with, both clientele and non-clientele, a lot of them think, oh, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to generate an NFT art and I'm going to sell it. Or I can create a smart contract within, 5 minutes myself, and I'm just going to go raise a bunch of funds to do that. And yes, that works out for some people and that's great. But these cases about you hearing some of these like 17-year-olds who go out and throw $100 into something that runs up to 100 grand. I mean, that's luck. That truly is luck. And you can't, a lot of financial advisors and a lot of businesses don't want to enter space because of that. Because there's so much still the Wild West nature, right? I mean, when you go into any business, you're expecting to see and walk out of there with professional experience from something. You don't want to go to somebody you met on the internet who you thought was understood what they were talking about, and really they didn't. I mean, we've gotten on calls before with people that are, forefront of AI guys. Sorry if you can hear my dog, he's barking. But we've gotten on calls with like these AI guys who claim to be AI experts and stuff. And when you really dig into the minutia and you really ask the right questions, you'll quickly find that a lot of these guys just learn something off YouTube in a week. And they're touting themselves as these people on the forefront of technology that know how to integrate this stuff. And I think right now, from an overall, the best way I can answer that question in the simplest terms is there's too much questionable nature behind it right now to know what is legit and what is not. And most people don't know how to ask the right questions to flesh out the right answers to arrive at that conclusion.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
I don't have any more questions, but I do have a statement. I've been building a project since 2021 with a friend of mine who is CTO of a former venture funded company that I ran. It's a metaverse project that has sort of a GameFi aspect, but we're also building a 3D DEX. We just launched a token on Pulse Chain 13 days ago, ended up doing about $1.2 million in volume, USD equivalent so far. And we actually got we actually got so much traction that we were actually picked up by one of Patrick Bet-David's advisors, one of the people that works with his podcast, and got a introductory interview to them. So we've got a lot of momentum, and my CEO, that the head of the project, which by the way, it's structured as a DAO, the legit way, right? We're all doxed, and our LinkedIns are attached to the project. We're legit, I swear, and you can vet it yourself. But okay. I truly do believe that this project that I'm building could potentially be, a golden goose for BlockSafe, and we could be your ideal client. And I'd love to, at a later date, not right now, but I want to show you what we're building. And we're not in the idea phase either. We've been doing it since 21. We're at the execution level. We're really getting it done. And so the two sort of aspects to it, right? Because I said a lot of stuff. It's kind of weird. On ETH, we have an NFT project that is a metaverse club that allows you to have token gated ownership and access to throwing your own digital events. Me personally, I'm a social creative with a little under 500,000 or a little over 500,000 followers, or 250,000 followers. Sorry. I use it as a digital creative studio. So I go in my Oculus and I film content in there. We also have another guy who has 60,000 followers on Twitter who is a 3D Blender expert. So he makes avatars, and he uses the space as a sort of art gala to showcase what his art pieces are that he's currently built and is selling, because he sells those all as NFTs. We have another guy who's in the DAO that is a list, main stage DJ of EDM concerts. He uses it as a medium to throw metaverse events. So there's a lot of really cool use cases for that, and that's our NFT project on ETH. And then our Pulse Chain instance, our sort of Pulse Chain chain arm of it, which we moved over to Pulse Chain. I'm non-technical. I'm not a developer or coder. My CEO, the head that was sort of my mentor that got me into the space, he's the one that decided we need to move onto Pulse Chain immediately. What we're building over there is we're building a web-based platform that uses WASD keys to have a 2D experience in the 3D world where you can connect your wallet and do swaps. So it's like Uniswap, but it's more of a gamified way of playing it, where you have your avatar in there and you can connect your wallet and swap tokens, which allows our community members to sort of be DeFi whales, where they can provide liquidity and earn APYs over time. So it's just a decentralized DEX. And so we have that social token that we launched called Bolt that allows you to tap into the network of people that are in our community. For example, if you need a model done, and we have that 3D artist that will accept Bolt, it's just a social token that allows you to get services in the space that you may need and connect you with the right people that are in our mutual ecosystem. So that's what we're building right now. And I think it's really cool. If my computer wasn't where it is right now, I need a new computer. But if it wasn't there, I would be able to pull it up. But right now my computer is incapable of running it. It is pretty graphically intensive, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see it, and congrats on that. That's a big feat. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, everybody wants to build something, but they don't realize just how much work it truly is. It's just, even if you get the work side of it, getting it to succeed is a whole other ballgame, and it's tough. But yeah, let's connect. And I encourage anybody, if anybody else has opportunities or wants to just chat, just connect with me offline. I'm sure I can give you my contact information, but yeah, that sounds awesome, man.
Actually, Nate, would you mind go ahead and letting our viewers know where they can contact you?
Yeah, of course. I'm on Discord, is probably the easiest way. And, Discord has now changed their way they do their handles. So it's just Nate and Tate. If you look at my kind of my video description up top, you can kind of see my username and how to spell it and stuff. But yeah, that's probably the best way. And I respond faster there than anything, but I can do email and stuff too. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'm sure you got my contact information in the videos and stuff. So yeah, whatever way is the easiest.
Is it all lowercase on Discord?
I don't think it matters, to be honest, but yeah.
Oh, they changed it.
Yep.
Sweet.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nate. We appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and close out with a prayer. Alan, would you mind closing out with a prayer?
Sure. Heavenly gracious Father, Lord, thank you so much for another week of just great people that can get together and share about what they're passionate about and how we can help each other and learn from each other, most importantly. Father God, continue to pray for this group, that we continue to grow our network, continue to have wonderful guests that comes on and shares about their business. Just protect us from this weekend. I know it's getting really hot in our state. Just pray for everyone have a good time. And as long as we continue to trust in you and your plan, we persevere through the difficult times, you will bring us great character, and also we put our hope in you, Lord. So thank you so much. In Christ's name, pray. Amen.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Everybody have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah.